Good evening. My name is Edward Sanshin Oberholtzer. I'm the resident priest and guiding teacher here at the Joseph Priestley Zen Sangha in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, and a member of the Empty Moon Zen Teaching Circle. I used to spend the dog days of August on Long Beach Island, New Jersey. I'd walk down the blistering, hard-packed sand to the water's edge and stand there for a moment in relief as the soles of my feet felt the cool, wet sand lapped by the waters at the edge of the Atlantic. Wading out into that water, the swells would reach up my body, occasionally lifting me off the sandy bottom until, finally, raising me clear of the ocean bed altogether. Now, I was a decent swimmer, and being set free in the arms of the ocean waves wasn't a problem at all, except that the sense that there was no longer ground beneath my feet, and that could be intensely disturbing. Sharks, most of all. And what else was down there looking up at my flailing arms and legs? I had the same worries in the lake behind my stepfather's cabin in Maine. Only there, the dark unknown below me, once I'd left the familiarity of the lake bottom, held, at least in my imagination, the occasional snapping turtle, that last dark remnant of a Jurassic nightmare. A friend used to use the image of standing on the end of a dock, gazing out into the chop of a wind-blown lake. The wind would die down, and the lake's surface turn to glass, revealing the water's depths. Sometimes, he would say, in those moments of calm, you'd see things you wished you hadn't seen. Wished for or not, when the bottom drops away, we're left with the unknown, inches beneath our feet, or miles. It's all the same. They do say you can as easily drown in a couple of inches of water as in the middle of the ocean. And of course, you can swim no matter how far beneath your feet the bottom lies. The water will uphold you no matter what. We rely on that sense of groundedness, that sense of certainty of the known, whether a sense conveyed through having our feet in contact with the seabed or the seeming certainty that the sun will rise tomorrow, that the world around us is stable, that words have a definite meaning we can find in the comforting pages of the Oxford English Dictionary, that they mean today what they meant yesterday and will continue to mean tomorrow, that the angles of a triangle all add up to 180 degrees and not in some sense of more or less, leaving us wondering about geometry, the world, the universe we live in. At some point, we have to let go of certainty, cast ourselves out into the ocean swells and swim. Words evolve. Triangles depend upon the curves of the mathematical universe in which they are embedded. What lurks below our feet may be benign or hostile, and who knows? Sometimes that shark reveals itself to be a seal pup. Sometimes that snapping turtle is simply the shadow of a submerged log. Many people turn to the comforting certainties offered by their religious faith, a God on whom they can rely, a set of commandments that offer a definite path through the confusion of everyday life. Just what, we might wonder, does he offer? Does the Dharma offer? Early Buddhists emphasized the emptiness of the self. You and I see ourselves as real when, in reality, we are a fictional agglomeration of the skandhas, the various functions that come together and make up this useful fiction of an ego, of a self. As Buddhism evolved, and all things change, even the Dharma. As Buddhism evolved, its practitioners came to the realization that not simply the self, but all things, all notions, all functions are empty, are without an essence, without a grounding. Not just you and I, the kitchen table, the computer screen, the nature of a Dharma talk, all of these things are without an essence. All of these things are relational. All of these things find their nature in their interactions with each other. And this can seem to be pulling the rug out from under our feet, setting us adrift in that vast ocean that lies off the Jersey shore. We Westerners, and to be honest, not just we Westerners, more than enough Eastern thinkers relied upon the groundedness of an eternal essence. Witness the Atman of the Brahmanic religions, a notion Buddhists counter with Anatman, no self. And interestingly, our presence makes a difference. Our intimate connection with the world around us, our creation of that world around us, is what the Mahayana has been telling us of for the past 2,000 years. This is the legacy of Nagarjuna and his successors in ancient China. We've come to speak of dependent origination of, as the Buddha is quoted as saying, because of this, that occurs. I'd like to make the claim that early Buddhists and later Buddhists, and for that matter, present-day Buddhists, have engaged and do engage in what we have come to call Gedanken or thought experiments. Now, I've been known to go off the reservation and cite Albert Einstein a number of times in the past, like some Unitarian Universalists as well as some Catholics I know. I've counted Einstein as a fellow traveler, though neither for UUism or Catholicism. No, I take his spirituality. Don't mistake it, he was a spiritual person. I take it as closer to the Dharma. Albert Einstein was famous for his Gedanken experiments, for his use of thought experiments. He once said that imagination was more fundamental than technical knowledge. The theory of relativity is largely due to his wondering what someone would see riding on a ray of light. The 18th century Italian philosopher Giambattista Vico held that we understand the social world, history, politics, literature, art, because we create it, and we can only understand what we make. Vico believed that we could never understand the natural world in the same way because we do not make it. Both modern physics and Mahayana Buddhism would argue that Vico is, at least with regard to the natural world, wrong. That we do make it, that it exists in relation to us just as we exist in relation to it. That ground beneath our feet, the one we lose when we set out swimming, leaving the seafloor behind, we create in the act of swimming. Life is a dance. No, the universe, reality, is a dance, a twirling, kaleidoscopic, confusing mess that comforts to the extent that we fall back into it. Our ancestors in the Dharma have, for the past 2,500 years, looked within and wondered about the workings of the human mind, and occasionally with how that mind interacts with the world around us. If I take seriously those who have made a career out of studying the brain and our handling of our perceptions, then I have to accept that what we see, hear, smell, touch of the world around us is filtered through memory, through prejudice, through the infirmities of our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. We construct what we perceive as this world in which we live. The universe, according to Newton, according to classical physics, lies outside us and operates without the need for our help or intervention. But that certainty, as Nagarjuna points out, leads to either eternal stasis or to nihilism. Not so. The quantum world, a world explored in the early 20th century by such luminaries as Einstein, who was in many ways horrified by its implications, by Niels Bohr, Schrödinger, Heisenberg, and others, people who came to the realization that human presence mysteriously made a difference in how the world worked. An observer of a simple wave interaction with a couple of slits will cause the difference between wave interference and a display of particles. You and I are related to those subatomic particles. We are, as the great Buddhist thinkers of India pointed out, intimately related, not only with each other, but with the universe around us. We float. So lay yourself out on the surface of that great ocean. Close your eyes and surrender yourself to the gentle swell of the sea. Let the emptiness flow through you. Let that emptiness be you. Thank you.